You are looking live at the NASDAQ daily chart, and today is April 11th, the 411. We got the 411 on the NASDAQ. It's up 272 points or 1.66%. You can see the volume was a little below average, 10% below. In fact, and what looked like could have been some short covering here today after some tame inflation data. I don't really know if this really affects the Fed or not, but I'll just say that the Nasdaq is clearly in a kind of a flat base pattern after it made that high of 16,538 on March 8th. It reversed lower that day and kind of started a downtrend lower. And you could see that the low of the base here. This is about a 5-week base, and this peak 16,538 to trough is about a 3% move, and now it's just kind of going sideways. Had a couple of up days. Yesterday was down, today was up. So I would get a little more comfortable. It could, make its way above that 538, 16,538. It's certainly not far away at all. Might need some more consolidation. I don't know. We just have to take it one day at a time. You can see that the NASDAQ recaptured its moving averages today. Yesterday, I thought, oh my gosh, this is not very far away from its 50. It was less than 1%. And today just traded higher, and now it's 1% above the 10, 1.3% above the 21, and 2.5% above the rising 50 SMA. So we're in a rising power trend, just having some chop, some consolidation after this 32% move from October to March 8th, October 26th to March 8th. That's a big move. So a little bit of chop is normal, is to be expected, and that's what we're getting. And anyway, I'm going to move on. The S&P and the NASDAQ are doing better than the Russell and the Dow, and I think it's because of these these market S&P's market cap weight. And Apple had a nice bounce today. It's still below its moving averages and in a downtrend, but that's why I said it looks like short covering here. It's like, if you shorted Apple at 199 and here it's trading, was it 168? You got to take profits there on the short side. So anyway, I don't think anything changed with the story, but you can see a big volume move for Apple today, up 4%. Microsoft, looking like the NASDAQ, just kind of going sideways and chopping in like a 5 or 6 week base here, not doing nothing wrong. I think there's a little caution ahead of these earnings. Much is to be expected. If you heard from Andy Jassy today at Amazon, this stock pop made a new high. He's calling the artificial intelligence revolution, larger than anyone can imagine and larger than the internet. And we know how big the internet was. So, you're hearing a lot of these CEOs say this. So I got to expect some really strong earnings from these companies, including Google, which is another one, really strong stock. And heck, the rally was so strong today, even Tesla was up. Yippee. So Tesla up 1.6%. Hey, it's better than going down, but this thing's clearly in a downtrend. NVDA was a star of the show today for these, large cap, mega cap tech stocks. This thing was up more than 4%. I thought it was going to have trouble there at 900, and we'll see. It definitely is still within this, consolidation base. It looks a lot like the NASDAQ, right? Just consolidating. This is the March 8th high, and after that reversal, the stocks have just been consolidating. 974 on March 8th, and just going sideways now, but doing nothing wrong. It's a big move from 500 to 974. Okay, anyway, I'm going to move on from those big names now. The semiconductor stocks were definitely strong today. The stars of the show. The one that I bought off our ready list was ARM. It's been on our ready list, I think, for a couple of weeks now. It's just been kind of trading sideways. It's got this, if you'll bear with me for a moment, the pole and the flag. So this is still consolidating within this flag here. It's up 5% this week. 131, it was just trading along with its, these converging moving averages here. So that indicates tight trading. I thought it'd pull back to the 50, but it hasn't. And I think I told folks, if it trades below 120, that's probably when I would, adios muchachos, um, out of this stock. Thankfully it didn't, because the low last week was 120. So I don't want to trading below, making new lows. So, but anyway, ARM looks fantastic. Broadcom, once again, consolidating in a base. That 1438 looks good to me. So if it can get above that level, we're looking at blue skies here. So this is trading near its highs. Just consolidating within a base. I think it's actionable, right here. We look at the weekly chart, you can see this, definitely consolidating here, trading kind of nicely, up 3% this week. Broadcom looks fantastic as well. Considering that the indexes are consolidating and not breaking out to new highs. What doesn't look good is AMD. It sliced its moving averages, traded down to the 50, and I expected a bounce here, and it just hugged this 50 for a long, long time, then broke below, and now it's just trading below. It's 50, and now the 10 and the 21 have curled below. So this thing traded up, it made a double, 93 to 227. That had a heck of a run. And the volume was there. If I go to the weekly chart, you can see there's big institutions were making big bets here on AMD. You can see the big blue volume bars here. That's the highest volume in a long, long time. And now it's, selling off on lighter volume, but it's still selling off. You hold the stock, still selling off. Doesn't matter what the volume is. But what that tells me is that, they made big bets on it. They're expecting this thing to deliver strong earnings for the next few quarters with AI and with the CEO talking about the large total addressable market. But you can see this earnings line, it's just kind of going sideways. So it needs to start trending higher. And they're going to report here, what was it, April 30th? So today's the 11th in 19 days. So, they're going to have to deliver the numbers here if you want that stock to trade higher. And if they don't, they're going to get a haircut, because much is expected of these names. And the last one I want to cover is just A-Lab. I typically don't trade, IPOs that are just, when did this thing IPO? Very recent. I don't even think it's been a month. Yeah, March 20th. Okay, so I just wanted to show you a 30-minute chart because it'll show your entire trading history here. And, made a low on that first day here. I believe, what was the low here? Let me get the, okay, it made a low of 63.45, came down on the April 1 down to 66, retested it here at 66, retested again at 65.89 or 66. So you're getting this consistent, retest of this low here. So if it doesn't want to go any lower, then maybe it's going to go higher. I'm not predicting that, and I don't own this, but that would be a level that I look for, 66. If it can't trade below 66 right there, it's already starting. You can see that green line there starting to form this little IPO base. So to me, 66 is the magic number. If it pulls back there and holds again, I think that's a good sign for that stock. Well, it closed at 75 today. So A-Lab looks good for an IPO stock. All right. I mentioned, okay, software and semiconductors are kind of the, some of the stronger names today. Datadog is one that I've been talking about. Some of these software names got really sold. I mean, had a nice big run here and then consolidated in this base and popped above its 50 SMA today. I was going to put this on our ready list last night with that 127.46 buy point. It traded above that 138.80. I still think this thing is actionable. Blue skies above 138.61. Well, not blue skies, because you got to go to the weekly chart. And the thing I like about this chart is, the earnings line, trading higher. We're looking at the relative strength line going through the moving averages. This thing looks good. The Datadog. So yeah, I might even buy this one tomorrow. I should have bought it today, right? Up nearly 4%. But anyway, some of these software names that have been beaten down, unloved, are starting to get some love. This is a Team. Atlassian, and this one, had a base, broke out, made a new high at 258, and now has formed this little base, made a bottom at 193, a double bottom there at 189, if you will, something like this. bottom there and then the double, and then it's kind of rounding out, but I could see this thing going higher, getting back to 250 area, and then forming a handle before blasting higher. That's that's my Etch-a-Sketch right there. We'll see what happens with team, but yeah, some of these software names are showing strength as well. This is AppLovin, and wow, just Kelly Slater stock surfing its moving averages after the breakout. So there is some stocks in software that I do like. TOST kind of looks, like it's in this base. This is not really a software name. I mean, it's a financial credit card payment. I just kind of threw it in there. But it is forming this base, and I kind of like this one. I'm watching it. Snow is definitely a software name. Trying to carve out a bottom here, and we'll see, if it can just hold this bottom and start to turn up a little bit. And the last one is ESTC. Once again, below 100 right here. This thing looks like it's trying to bottom and maybe make its way through its moving averages here. Another one that I'm watching. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the data center plays. VRT, Vertiv Holdings, definitely a strong stock here. Just surfing its moving averages, bounced off its 21 yesterday and followed through today, nearly 2%. Vertiv looks fantastic. They report earnings on April 24th. CEG is one of those nuclear power. I mean, they have the diverse power, and the ARM CEO is talking about how much power is going to be needed. I mean, Jensen said the same thing for this AI revolution, and so this is going to be a player constellation, a spinoff from Exelon Power, PWR. I call it Power because of the ticker, but it's Quanta Services, and this one pulled back to its 21. A little bounce today. But definitely looking pretty good. GE is another one that they went ex-dividend today, I think, or tomorrow. So we get our dividend here pretty soon. But this thing has just been a monster. It says diversified operation, but they have spun off into the GE Healthcare. I think in 2022, late 2022 maybe. They spun off this healthcare division. It's done pretty well. Yeah, December of 22. Got this base, and GE Healthcare doing nothing wrong. And then GEV is the alternative energy power for the data centers. And this one just IPO'd. I might as well go to the 30-minute chart on this one as well. Yeah, made that low there. About 119, has not approached it since. Lows here, 129. Yeah, so this one's doing pretty well. It just does not have enough history for me to be messing around with this thing. It's got to have a few more weeks of trading here. Yeah, okay. The low on the IPO day was 115. But anyway, I'm going to move on from these data center plays and move to the drugs. Disappointed in the drugs. And I shouldn't be disappointed because disappointment is an emotion and I'm just trading technically. But when a stock I own pulls back, a strong stock like this that breaks out from a base and runs up, and there's that March 7th, March 8th reversal and pullback, that's fine. The index did that, but now it pulls back to its 50 and it won't bounce. And this thing's starting to remind me of AMD. The longer it sits on the fence here, the more nervous I get. And if it slices below it, I'm gonna have to. This is gonna force me to make a decision that I don't want to make. I want to see this thing bounce, and it's just not doing it. Same with Eli Lilly. It pulled back to the 50 and it's just squatting here. These things, I don't know. I guess they're the anti-Bernie Sanders stocks or something. I don't know what's going on. They're talking about how they charge so much and that people can't afford it. I have many friends on Zepbound and Ozempic, and they pay between 150 and 200 a month, and they go in every week and they get a shot and they get weighed and a doctor sees them. I mean, if you're going to a doctor 4 times a month and getting 4 shots and you're only paying $200, man, that's $50 a visit. That's dirt cheap, I think. But I'm doctor phobic. I can't go to the doctor, so I don't go there. But to me, that's not expensive. They're talking about it's $1,000, which is totally ridiculous. And these guys spend a heck of a lot of money on R&D trying to develop these drugs. So, you know, this is anti-business. I better stop there. CCJ, one of my uranium plays, it's on our ready list. You know, it had this cup and he talked about how he expected it to pull back and make a handle, shake some people out. And now it's moving higher, up 2.66% today. But to me, you know, this is still actionable. I'm going to keep it on the ready list. That thing looks, you know, textbook right there. URNM is another uranium ETF. If you don't want to buy a stock, you can play the uranium with this big move with volume today. Yeah, 2.5% with big volume. So I guess I'm not the only one thinking about buying the miners, uranium miners. Anyway, you know, CCO, Southern Copper, new rule. It's got to go up every day. I mean, it went down one day. We can't have that. Just an inside day today, though. Southern Copper is just super strong stock. And since I'm on these miners, how did Freeport do? Okay, flat today. Not a big deal. I'm going to get off these, go to the oil and gas. I put some oil and gas stocks on my ready list because, you know, they're forming these bases and they look good on the charts. I'm not interested in buying these, but you know, a good bull market will rotate and all sectors will eventually, you know, get some love. You know, the software and semis had big moves early, and then we got some financials doing well. The drug stocks did well for a while. The defense stocks did well, and now you're seeing oil and gas and the miners, you know, they're picking it up. So maybe it'll rotate back into software and semiconductors, but yeah, just a lot of stocks, a lot of groups doing well. You just got to be patient with your stocks. All right. What's the other one? No, Matador. Yeah, these things made new highs. Exxon, Matador, that thing looks good to me as well. And FRO, this is a transportation pipeline. They made new highs and just pulled back a little bit today. This one was up 5%. Did I have that one on my ready list? I should have, but I don't think I put it on. I don't have it with me here. Oh, well, doesn't matter. It still looks actionable if you're interested. I'm just not interested in owning those. All right, I'm going to move on here. Just do a little random walk and talk about, you know, I bought Arista Network and ARM Holdings today from our ready list. And these are just teaser, tester, prober type of buys because I'm still not convinced that this digestion is over. But you know, personally, I'd rather buy this stock above 307.74. I'd rather buy it at 310 than down here at 292 or wherever I got it today, bouncing off a moving average because there's no resistance here, and it just tells me that there's buyers coming in paying more than $300. This thing's having a heck of a time at $300. To me, it's like insurance paying more for a stock. You can see these are all-time highs. Just consolidating here in this little wedge type pattern here on the weekly. You could see the earnings line going straight north. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this stock. I just would like to see it trade above, you know, that 307.74. That's just me. I mean, you know, lots of people like to buy it, you know, off the 50 or buy low, sell high. I want to buy strength and showed a little strength today, but like I said, just a probe position. So I'm going to be watching that. When SMCI came down to its 50, not much of a bounce here. I mean, yeah, 3%. I really expected it to do more, but you could see with SMCI, it's tightening up. You could see, you know, the daily ranges. I keep looking at these daily ranges here. There's $100 daily range, you know. There is a, you know, $90 daily range. There's a $62 daily range today. The range was a $38. So this thing's getting tight. They're going to have earnings. Well, they haven't announced earnings yet, but you can see the volume. It went up with big volume, much like AMD, right? You can see the massive volume buying. And now it's coming down on just light volume, but it's still coming down. And you know, I like to buy the bounce after the dip, and that's not really a bounce for me. To me, that thing's still squatting at its 50 and could trade below it. So it needs to power up. Like I said, I'd rather pay 12.29 for this thing than whatever it is, 9.37. There's yeah, too many sellers in here, and it needs to just show some strength, and it's probably not going to do it until they report earnings. So anyway, SMCI, it needs to bounce. Spotify, they mentioned something about, I don't know what the news was today. They had news this morning though, you know, improving their platform. This one, you know, they can't even come down. You saw the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ's doing this. You know, the NASDAQ's floundering like in a flat base, and this thing's like way above its 10 EMA. So Spotify is a big leader and a strong stock. Coinbase continues to get support at the 21. It's almost like coming down like every day to the 21, then bouncing, then coming down and bouncing. The more times that it comes down to the 21, the less I'm inclined to like this. It needs to power through to new highs at that 283 level, but looks good. Somebody asked me to look at these beverage names, food and drink and Constellation Brands. This is an alcohol stock. They reported strong earnings, had a decent response, up $3. I mean, you know, we've seen some poor earnings, I mean, good earnings reports with poor responses. So nice to see it at least go higher. It did close in the middle of its daily range, or maybe at the lower end, 40% of its daily range with big volume. So yeah, all they can do is report strong earnings. And this is Kellogg as a spinoff from Kellogg's. I'm not sure exactly what cereals they have, but obviously an IPO stock, if I go to the weekly, that's been a big winner. You can see this IPO base. You can see the earnings line trending up. This thing looks fantastic. The old high was 21 exactly, and it traded above that today. So that looks fantastic. Whoever asked me about that, you're all over it. That looks pretty darn good to me. You know, we'll see about the estimates. The estimates are the estimates. They don't mean anything. What means something is when they deliver earnings. All right, I'm going to get off my high horse. Okay, I just wanted to point out a couple of stocks here. I'm talking about why it's kind of treacherous here. This is AAON, is a HVAC stock that was in this base, and then I had it on my ready list last week. It broke out to new highs. I thought, oh man, that thing's gone, right? It's extended, and then what happened? Well, the last three sessions, it's just pulled right back to its 21, right back to its buy point. So, you know, not making any headway. You want to see these things break out and trade higher and not pull back to moving averages. But anyway, just thought I'd point that out. Fix, you know, is kind of showing some weakness now. Same with mod, MOD, Modine, you know, trading down to the 50. TT, I haven't even looked at this one. It's trading tight along the 21 carrier and down to the 50. Yeah, these things are starting to cool off. Okay, so that's it for me, except for I have one more thing. And in the honor of the great Steve Jobs, I got to point out something about this Globe Life was hit by a short seller named the Fuzzy Panda. So they put out this report saying there was accounting fraud. And as a short seller, all you have to do is instill a little bit of fear, and then, you know, because people are going to sell first and ask questions later. And even if the CEO comes up and says, oh, you know, the short sellers are full of it, and it's too late because people are already out and they've sold and they're gone. So Fuzzy Panda, I don't know who Fuzzy Panda is. I really prefer that if you're a short seller and going to write reports like this, that you put your name on it, like Carson Block of Muddy Waters. You know, he'll come out and say, you know, I believe XYZ stock is a short because, you know, he gives his reasons and he puts his name on it. It's not a Fuzzy Panda. I don't know who Fuzzy Panda is. I'm gonna try and find out though. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about but that just goes to show you the market can be treacherous, you know, if you're down 50% in a short period of time. JP Morgan reports earnings tomorrow. This is kind of the king of the financial stocks. It broke out, had a massive run. And then, you know, now you see this caution here, and I think the caution, you know, could be tax selling, you know, taking profits and paying your taxes. It could be just caution ahead of earnings. These guys usually do pretty well and crush it. You can see these big blue numbers, and I'm pretty sure they're going to beat earnings. But, you know, it doesn't mean the stock's going to respond positively. But I like to see pullbacks ahead of earnings. They're going to report tomorrow morning, as well as Wells Fargo. These you know, financials, I said, they've had nice runs here, and now they've pulled back a little bit. You can see this 38 to 58 pullback below the 21, and they report tomorrow. So we're just gonna have to wait and see it. But I'm glad that earnings season is here, and these big banks are gonna tell a story. Okay, and we're just gonna have to wait and see how the market responds to them. Citigroup has had a massive run from what 38 to how high did this thing go? Not a stock that I own, obviously. 63 and then pulled back below 60 today, and then got above that number. But that's what you know, it's hanging around the 21. That's what I like to see before earnings. Just a little bit of fear, a little bit of shakeout, get those weak hands out of there. And if they report a strong number, maybe the rally can resume. Anyway, that's it for me today. I have a couple more stocks that I like that I'm going to put on my ready list tomorrow morning. Not saying go out and buy them right away. It's a ready watch list. So we watch them. Sometimes I buy them just to see, you know, how the stocks respond. This is one that I bought today, as well as ANET, ARM and ANET. So they've done okay so far. And then the S&P 500, I just wanted to show this, that this one is above its moving averages as well, you know, along with the NASDAQ. So these are the two stronger indexes, closed at the 10, 3% above the 0.3% above the 21, and 1.8% above the rising 50. So just, you know, that consolidation, doing nothing wrong, just gonna have to be patient. Oh, somebody asked me about NTNX right before I went on here, and this thing looks fine to me. Just consolidating, you know, a lot like the NASDAQ, right? Just consolidating here in this base. You have to be patient. It's riding its moving averages. The moving averages are still trending higher. Short-term moving averages are trending higher. And it, you know, traded down to its 21 and got a little support today. Yeah, it was down 2% on a day where the NASDAQ was up, but it can also be up when, you know, on a day when the NASDAQ was down, like yesterday. So yeah, just stay with it. The RS line above moving averages. Yeah, this one looks fine to me. So just gonna have to be patient in a market like this. You're gonna have to be really patient and wait for that NASDAQ to show an all clear sign. I went yellow today for the first day since November, I think 13th or something, early November. And so it was a long run for me to be on green. I just went yellow because my trades weren't working. I had three trades that went higher when I bought them and then reversed lower, and I sold for a loss. So when that I get three strikes and you're out, I got to go sit on the bench. And so today I'm back in the ball game. But we'll see. Anyway, at mcstockcharts.com, we never give up. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.